Listen, waking up early in winter is not just a habit. It is a statement. When you rise before the sun in the coldest season of the year, you are proving something far greater than discipline. You are proving that your mind is stronger than your comfort. Your purpose is louder than your excuses, and your future matters more than your feelings. Most people don't even try. Winter exposes everyone. It exposes their habits, their excuses, their patterns, and their weaknesses, because in winter, the bed feels warmer, the blankets feel heavier, the body feels slower, and the mind feels softer. But winners rise anyway, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because they understand a simple truth. If you can command yourself in the harshest season, you can conquer yourself in every season. When you wake up early in winter, you're not just beating the alarm, you're beating the version of you that gets in your way. You're beating laziness. You're beating procrastination. You're beating fear. You're beating that voice that says, stay where you are. Stay comfortable. Stay safe. But comfort has never created greatness. Comfort has never built leaders. Comfort has never built wealth. Comfort has never built a legacy. Every time you get out of that warm bed, you're building a different identity, an identity that doesn't wait for the weather to be perfect, an identity that doesn't wait for life to be easy, an identity that moves whether it's summer or winter, hot or cold, light or dark, because life doesn't reward people who move when things are easy. Life rewards the ones who keep moving when things get hard. And winter is hard. That's why it's the perfect training ground. When you wake up before the world, you gain access to something rare. Silence, focus, time, clarity, momentum. There's no noise, no distractions, no world pulling you in 100 directions. It's just you, your vision, and your next step. You start your day before others open their eyes. You make progress before others make excuses. While they are still sleeping, you are separating yourself. You are creating distance. You are creating advantage. You're creating a gap so wide that they won't understand how you got so far ahead. People say, it's just waking up early. No, it's not just anything. It's a message you send to yourself every morning that says, I control my life. I control my habits. I control my destiny. Because if you can wake up early in winter, you can train when you don't feel like it. You can work when motivation isn't there. You can focus when everyone else is distracted. You can build when others quit. You can grow when others stay stuck. Winter teaches you the greatest lesson. Success doesn't belong to the most talented. Success belongs to the most disciplined. Every cold morning is an opportunity. Every early wake up is a victory. Every step you take in the cold is a seed you plant for a stronger, wealthier, more powerful future. So the next time your alarm rings in the winter and your body whispers stay and your mind says later and your comfort pulls you back, remember this, if you can win that battle, you can win any battle. If you can beat winter, you can beat anything. If you can wake up early in winter, you can win at everything life puts in front of you. Now get up, rise earlier, rise stronger, rise with purpose, rise in winter like a warrior who refuses to be defeated by weather, excuses, or weakness. Because the moment you master winter, you unlock the version of yourself that can do anything. Waking up early in winter builds a kind of mental toughness that most people will never experience, because it forces you to do the one thing success always demands: act against your feelings. Winter is the season where your body begs for comfort, your mind negotiates for more sleep, and every excuse feels justified. The cold air, the dark mornings, the heavy blanket, everything around you is designed to make you stop, slow down, or stay still. But the moment you choose to rise anyway, you're sharpening your mind into a weapon. You're teaching yourself that you don't need perfect conditions to move. You don't need warmth to act. You don't need motivation to show up. You build a different kind of power, the power to command yourself instead of being controlled by your emotions. This is the toughness that separates achievers from dreamers. When you fight through the cold, you're not just waking up early, you are training your brain to overcome resistance in every area of life. If you can defeat the hardest mornings, you can defeat the hardest goals. If you can conquer the discomfort of winter, you can conquer the discomfort of growth, discipline, and change. Winter mornings teach you to push when everything inside you wants to pause, to rise when everything around you tells you to stay down, and to execute even when your mind whispers, not today. And once you master that level of inner strength, You carry it everywhere, into your work, your vision, your habits, your finances, and your future. Waking up early in winter is not just a routine, it is mental toughness forged in the cold, and that toughness becomes the advantage that makes you unstoppable. Comfort is the enemy of greatness because comfort convinces you that the life you have is good enough, even when something inside you knows you were created for more. Comfort seduces you. It whispers, "Stay here, it's warm, it's easy, it's familiar." But that same comfort slowly steals your potential, your hunger, your ambition, and your fire. The truth is, nothing extraordinary has ever been built from a comfortable place. No champion was born in softness. No leader was shaped by convenience. Every person who ever rose to greatness had to step into discomfort, not once, but repeatedly, until discomfort became their new normal. Comfort protects your feelings, but it destroys your future. It keeps you safe, but it keeps you small. It gives you rest, but it steals your results. When you choose comfort, you're choosing to stay the same. When you choose challenge, you're choosing to grow. Comfort makes you passive. Greatness requires you to be active. Comfort keeps you dreaming. Greatness demands you start doing. That's why waking up early, especially in winter, becomes a symbol of who you want to be. Someone who doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Someone who refuses to let ease control their destiny. Someone who moves even when it's hard. Greatness begins the moment you stop asking what feels good right now and start asking what builds my future, because the life you want is always hiding behind a layer of discomfort. The version of you that you're trying to become is always on the other side of resistance. And until you learn to consistently break through that resistance, you'll stay trapped in the comfortable prison that stops billions of people from fulfilling their purpose. Comfort is the enemy of greatness because it keeps you warm but keeps you weak. And the moment you reject comfort, even in the small things, you start stepping into the strength, discipline, and destiny that greatness requires. Small wins in the cold create big wins in life because every small victory you secure when conditions are at their worst becomes proof that you can handle challenges anywhere, anytime. When you wake up early in winter, you're not just checking off a morning routine, you're proving to yourself that you can overcome resistance when resistance is at its strongest, and that matters. Because success is not built from one massive breakthrough, it's built from dozens, hundreds, even thousands of small wins that accumulate over time. Each cold morning you conquer becomes a brick in the foundation of a stronger, sharper, more disciplined version of you. Those small winter wins do something powerful inside your mind. They rewire your belief system. They tell you, if I can beat this, I can beat anything. When you push yourself in the toughest conditions, everyday challenges start to feel lighter. Tasks that used to intimidate you now feel manageable. Goals that felt out of reach suddenly feel possible. That's the magic of small wins. They multiply your confidence, they strengthen your identity, and they build momentum. And momentum is one of the most valuable assets in life. Because once you start moving forward consistently, everything else becomes easier. Most people underestimate small wins because they look too simple or too insignificant. But small wins are where greatness is born. Waking up early in the cold is a small win. Getting out of your comfort zone is a small win. Choosing discipline over excuses is a small win. And every time you stack one of those wins, you're not just improving your morning, you're shaping your future. You're building habits, installing discipline, and training your mind to choose progress over comfort. Over time, these small cold weather victories grow into massive life changes, better health, stronger finances, improved focus, deeper self-respect, and unstoppable momentum. When you win repeatedly in the cold, you become the kind of person who wins in life, not by accident, but by identity. Winter mornings forge identity and character because they force you to decide who you really are when no one is watching, when nothing is easy, and when every part of you wants to surrender to comfort. The cold strips away excuses. It removes all the noise, all the distractions, all the comfort that normally softens your discipline. In winter, it's just you versus the weaker version of yourself. And every morning you rise early, you're choosing which version wins. That choice shapes your identity. That choice defines your character. That choice determines your future. When you wake up early in the winter, you're not just starting your day, you're declaring the standard you live by. You're telling yourself, I don't bow to pressure. I don't wait for motivation. I don't need perfect conditions to move. This is where true identity is built, in the moments where it would be easier to quit, easier to delay, easier to stay comfortable. The person who rises anyway becomes someone different, someone stronger, someone sharper, someone more disciplined. Every cold morning becomes a mirror, showing you exactly who you've decided to become. Winter mornings test your character in a way warm seasons never will. The cold demands effort. The darkness demands courage. The stillness demands intention. And when you choose to push through all of that, you build a level of inner strength that cannot be faked. Character isn't created when life feels good. Character is created when you do what needs to be done, even when it feels terrible. It's built when you push through resistance, not around it. It's shaped when you honor your commitments, not your comfort. And the truth is, identity grows from repeated behavior. Every action reinforces who you believe you are. So when you show you early in the cold, day after day, you're carving a new identity into your mind. The identity of someone who leads, someone who shows up, someone who finishes, and someone who doesn't break just because the weather changes. Winter becomes your training ground, your refining fire, your character building season. And by the time the warmth returns, you walk into the rest of the year stronger, clearer, more resilient, and ready to accomplish what most people never even attempt. Consistency in harsh conditions creates elite performance because it forces you to operate at a level most people never reach. Anyone can be consistent when the weather is nice, when life feels easy, when motivation is high. But consistency in winter, when the cold bites, when the mornings are dark, when your body resists and your mind hesitates, that's a different league. That's where champions are created. When you choose to show up in the season that tries to shut you down, you are training yourself to perform under pressure, not just under comfort. That ability becomes your advantage in every area of life. Harsh conditions sharpen you. They stretch your limits, expose your weaknesses, and force you to build strength in the very places where you used to break. When you rise early in winter, you practice discipline when discipline is the hardest. When you stay focused in uncomfortable conditions, you prove that distractions cannot control you. When you stick to your routine despite the cold, you build a level of mental endurance that gives you the power to keep going long after others quit. This is the kind of consistency that separates the average from the exceptional, the ordinary from the elite. Elite performance is never created from comfort. It's built from repetition, commitment, and execution, especially when circumstances aren't ideal. When you train your mind and body to operate a high level, even in tough environments, you become unstoppable in normal environments. The person who can perform in the cold, in the dark, in the discomfort becomes dangerous when conditions finally improve. They move faster, think clearer, and execute with precision because they're used to fighting against resistance. Consistency in harsh conditions builds a muscle that most people don't have: resilience. It teaches you to keep showing up, keep pushing, keep working, not because it's easy, but because you've decided who you are. And once you become someone who is consistent no matter what, you rise above the crowd. You outperform people with more talent. You outlast people with more motivation. You outshine people who only move when it feels good. That's why winter training creates elite performance. It molds you into the kind of person who wins under pressure, wins under difficulty, and wins even when everyone else collapses. Early winter mornings unlock access to time, focus, and momentum because they give you something the rest of the world rarely experiences: a head start before life even begins moving. When you rise in the cold, while the world is silent and still, you step into a window of pure clarity. No noise, no distractions, no demands pulling at your attention. This is the hour where your mind is sharpest, your thoughts are pure, and your priorities become visible. Winter amplifies that stillness. The cold air wakes your senses, the darkness reduces stimulation, and the quiet creates a mental environment where focus becomes effortless. You get to work on your life before anyone else wakes to interrupt it. That early start gives you control of the day instead of the day controlling you. You're not rushing, reacting, or surviving the morning. You're leading it. You're building your life in a space where time feels multiplied because every minute carries more weight. While others sleep, you're planning, creating, learning, improving, and executing. That extra hour feels like stolen time, a bonus life the average person never touches. And when you use it with intention, it becomes one of the most powerful assets you have. Focus becomes easier in winter mornings because everything slows down. The world moves slower. Your phone stays quiet. People are less active. There's no pressure, no noise, no chaos. That silence sharpens your mind. You see your goals more clearly. You think deeper. You work with more intensity. What would normally take an hour can be done in 20 minutes because your mind is uninterrupted. Clarity becomes your natural state. And as soon as you begin your day with that kind of focus, something incredible happens. You create momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that takes one win and turns it into 10. When you start your morning strong, you move through the day with confidence. You've already won the hardest battle, getting up early in the cold, so everything after that feels lighter, easier, more achievable. You're ahead of schedule, ahead of stress, ahead of the world. You don't walk into the day, you attack it. Time, focus, and momentum combine into a powerful advantage. Most people live in reaction, but you start in preparation. Most people lose their mornings, but you claim yours. Most people wake into chaos, but you wake into control. And when you build your day on that foundation, winter mornings become the hidden engine behind your success. The quiet hours that separate you from the crowd and push you closer to the person you're destined to become. In the end, winter is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It's the season that asks you one simple question every single morning. How badly do you want the life you say you want? And your answer isn't found in your words, it's found in your actions. Every early rise in the cold is a declaration that you refuse to let comfort win. Every step into the darkness is proof that your purpose is stronger than your excuses. Every small victory against the winter builds the identity of someone who does not wait for easy seasons to grow. Because if you can wake up early in winter, you're not just building discipline, you're building mental toughness. You're building character. You're building habits that most people don't have. And those habits create advantages that most people will never experience. You're learning to win small so you can win big. You're learning to stay consistent when the world slows down. You're learning to operate with focus, clarity, and momentum before the day even begins. These winter mornings are more than routines. They are the foundations of greatness. They are the training ground where you learn to conquer yourself first so you can conquer your goals next. They are the hidden hours where average people stay asleep while you build a version of yourself powerful enough to change your entire future. So don't run from the cold. Don't hide from the darkness. Don't fear the discomfort. Embrace it. Because every time you rise in winter, you rise stronger. Every time you defeat the cold, you defeat the weaker version of you. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you move one step closer to the life you were created to live. Remember this, if you can wake up early in winter, you can win at anything. Winter may challenge you, but it will never break you because you are built for more, destined for more, and rising into more every single morning you decide to show up.